Hello, sweet human, and welcome back to this week's episode. This is the Gemini love letter that is sent out in email format. Some of what is shared here is a reiteration of last week's episode, but it's important, so we're going to dive in and do it again. Now, without further ado, Gemini season is in full swing, and the yang energy couldn't be more evident. I've been in the midst of a massive quantum leap, the seeds of which were planted during the eclipse corridor back in March. I've leapt into a new life, the dust has yet to settle, and Gemini energy has been a huge, huge part of making this happen. Gemini is a mutable air sign. It's the season that holds us through the transition of spring to summer. It's coming alive again. Things are blooming, things are happening. And as we know, it is this yang energy that has us feeling a little more motivated to get out of our shell, to do things, to be more social. It's an energy that's not just familiar with change, but a little addicted to it. Mercury, Gemini's ruling planet, oversees communication, how we think, speak, and process the world around us. It is essentially residing over what we'll call the lower mind. As the planet closest to the sun, it is intimately connected, integral even, to the evolution of our consciousness. Now remember, the sun represents consciousness in our chart, that which it brings light to, it is illuminating. How is Mercury intimately connected and integral to the evolution of our consciousness? Well, how we think and speak directly impacts our experience. It's responsible for the creation of the life we are living right now. That's a pretty loaded claim, but I'll explain. The words we choose to think and speak repeat in our subconscious mind some 300,000 times per iteration. These words hold a frequency that influences our feelings. Now, if emotion is just energy in motion, and energy directly corresponds to frequency, then the higher the frequency, the higher the energy. AKA, our emotions carry a frequency that either attracts or repels what we desire. Nerdy, I know, but we love nerdy. On top of that, our thoughts and feelings have the power to either create or change our beliefs on a subconscious level. Our beliefs are coded so deeply within us, within our subconscious, that we will look for evidence to affirm and reinforce them. So, if you believe you are broke, your subconscious self will make it so. If you believe it is difficult to make friends, you will miss the opportunities that are right in front of your face. Keep in mind, this is all being shared through the assumption that we are operating as sovereign beings. The life we desire and deserve is not just going to fall into our laps no matter how badly we want it to. The responsibility for creating it is ours alone. To summarize, in order to create a life that lights us the fuck up, we must harness our Mercury, our mind. There's another part of Gemini, this changeable air, that is important here. Like a butterfly flitting from one gorgeous flower to the next, Gemini is anything but stagnant. It is an energy that is open, curious, optimistic, and prefers to be delighted over certain every day of the week. This is what gives Gemini the lifelong learner vibes, and it's an energy that allows us to approach life with a beginner mindset. Think about it. How many adults do you know that aren't even willing to try something new? Would they start snowboarding at 40? Would they learn a new language, start a hobby, or just plain old go through the process of sucking at something because they're learning? Far too many adults prefer to be certain, comfortable, and in control because it lends them the illusion of being safe. But here's the thing, too much comfort, too much control of our lives, especially from the lower mind, a place of intellect, and with our limited human perspective, it means that we're closing ourselves off to the expansive perspective of the universe, of source, and the infinite possibilities that are always available to us. Gemini is here to shake things up and propose this. What if The universe is just waiting to reward you for your curiosity, for your open mind. What if you don't need to know all the details right this second? What if you are meant to follow your delight and figure it out as you go? Delight to me feels light, playful, fun. Can you see how overculture has emphasized productivity so damn much that it's slowly squeezed out delight? Like, bring back the delight in your life. Have it in the morning, noon, and at night. Let's put these two big pieces together. All right, so you notice there's an area of your life that is the opposite of delightful. It feels dense. First, consider how you're speaking and thinking about this particular thing or area. Awareness of how you've been contributing to the creation of this reality is key. So important in creating change. Where are you being apathetic to the truth? Which is that anything is possible. And if anything is possible, this too can shift. Now open your mind and turn off the inner critic for a while. How can you think and speak about this area of your life, this situation, from a more empowering approach? Here's the thing though, it's important not to bullshit yourself because your subconscious mind will know a lie when it hears one. You can instead shift your inner dialogue even 1% in the direction that you want it to go. So instead of saying, I'm broke, when you want to feel abundant, you can say something like, I'm learning how to be more intimate with my finances. I'm learning how to be more grateful for every penny that comes in. I'm learning how to value everything that I already have instead of focusing on that which is not yet here. Do you see the difference? How different that feels in your body instead of saying, I'm broke? So you are slowly creating a new reality with this change, this shift in your dialogue. And so you can ask yourself, how can you speak or think about this from a more empowering approach, and do that exercise? And then what if this situation didn't have to be the way that it currently is? How would you want the situation to feel? And know that you do not have to have this all figured out today. We are being invited collectively to lean into the Pisces North Node and this trusting, this surrender that the universe will reveal the details when we open to receive them. And then notice the good that's flowing in. It's always on its way to you. You get to intelligently choose to focus on the possibility of everything working out for you and working out even better than you imagined. Focusing on the good, though, does not equate to bypassing the density, by the way. You know I am an advocate, if you've been listening to me for a while, for feeling your feelings. So cry it out if you need to, and then pick up your socks and be the badass, intelligent being that you are. Now, as you listen to the descriptions of Gemini throughout the houses below, I invite you to observe what about this area you're shifting or ready to shift, and is there a way in which you've been judging yourself? If so, could you give yourself permission to be more you and less how you were programmed? Or if there is a little of Gemini's shadow creeping into this particular area, this house, then listen to your intuition if it's calling for less indecision and more commitment, less scatter and more focus, less everything spread out and more one thing. All right, here we go. This next part, Gemini through the houses. Now, the first house is associated with our physical vessel, as well as the energy through which others first meet us. So with Gemini ruling the first house, you might look a little impish, a little elfy. You might be a little cheeky with a mischievous glint in your eye and potentially a little bit of scattered energy. You might wear trendy clothes and have a youthful appearance and have quick movements. You may even come off a little high strung, but with some trickster vibes in there for sure. You also are here to embody Gemini energy and may change your appearance drastically and often. The second house. The second house is associated with resources and values. If Gemini rules this part of your life, you likely value adaptability and flexibility. Maybe you make money in multiple ways, have a job that is super flexible or varied in the ways in which you're showing up to serve on a regular basis, or perhaps you have a job in which you use language in a clever way to make a living. Perhaps you move around more than the average person from home to home, but whatever the case, mental stimulation is probably a must for you. Now, the third house is actually associated with all things Gemini. So with Gemini ruling your third house, your communication is likely very fast, very clever, potentially scattered a little, and probably on the cheerful side. Gemini is a very optimistic energy. You probably make an excellent conversationalist and a wordsmith, however you're choosing to use that gift. You may communicate with many different modalities, speaking platforms, applications, as well as writing and using technology in many, many ways. Blogs, newspaper columns, social media, all of it. Now, the fourth house is associated with the deepest part of ourselves that is not often shown to others, even our closest people. It's associated with homes, roots, ancestry, and where we come from. Do you come from a long line of wordsmiths and tricksters? Perhaps your home was decorated very eclectically. Perhaps one or both of your parents were curious, bright, witty, and lively, or superficial, scattered, fickle, and a little restless. Gemini with this indecisive energy can sometimes mean that we don't feel super grounded. We, as this Gemini part of ourselves, really likes to have options. Sometimes it can be really hard to commit to one thing and walk that path until we see the fruits of our labors. So if Gemini rules your fourth house, you are likely very curious and clever at the core, but notice if you have trouble with devotion and commitment. Now, the fifth house is very childlike. If Gemini is here, it's actually a really beautiful placement. Gemini is great for play and delight at all times of the day, and you might be the ultimate jokester and lover of fun things, whatever it is, from crosswords to roller skating, that is. You can dabble in any hobby. Gemini rules the fingers too, so you may even be drawn to using your hands for your hobbies, like playing the guitar or piano or something like that. Crafting, that kind of thing. You may also be a very flirtatious person, not necessarily in a bad way. Flirting can be super fun as long as both parties are on the same level about it and it's not taken seriously by someone. So this also might mean that you are attracted to people who turn on your brain, or perhaps you've had a gazillion crushes or have a gazillion crushes. Now, the sixth house is all about daily routines, rituals, and the ways in which we serve the greater good. So your routines may need to change all the time. If you are someone who feels really guilty for not living the same day over and over again because, influencers are saying that that's the way to be, or you've learned that that's the way you should be, I invite you to be very mindful that you are still incorporating the energetic practices that support you throughout your day, but letting those practices vary. So you might like to create a jar of ideas for your morning routine, for example, that are centered around less decision making, which is already super grounding for you, and maybe being in your body, or scraping your tongue, brushing your teeth, taking care of your physical vessel before your day starts, and making sure that you're not immediately accessing technology and stimulating yourself too much. And then you can also have some different ideas for winding down evening routines. Maybe you read your favorite book, maybe do some stretching, some legs up the wall, breathing, tapping, journaling, whatever it is. And then you can change it up on a regular basis so it doesn't feel like you're in a rut. You get to be curious about what it is that you'll pick on any given day for that particular part of your routine. Give yourself permission to switch it up. There's nothing wrong with that. And you may also hear with this Gemini in the sixth house of service, you may serve others in a very Gemini way by bringing fresh new ideas that are inspired by curiosity and probably optimistic. Now, the seventh house is about partners, commitments, and contracts. Maybe you love them all, the whole alphabet. Maybe you need permission from yourself to like whomever you like. Maybe you're poly, or maybe you're drawn to androgynous people. Regardless, you're quick to connect. And your partner or partners may be very chatty, clever, optimistic, talkative, mentally stimulating, that kind of thing. Now, with Gemini ruling the 8th house, if this is you, this is the house that is hidden from self. So bringing light to this area of your life can be so freaking empowering, even if you don't feel proud or necessarily comfortable with what's coming up this season. Notice where you are feeling a level of superficiality that doesn't serve your evolution. Where are you being asked to dive a little bit deeper, to put some roots in, to connect in a new way, a new deeper way? Where are you having trouble committing to what you know in your bones is good for you? Not what your mind is telling you, your intellect is telling you you should, but what you know from this intuitive higher self place is meant for you. All important questions to consider. Now, Gemini in the 9th house is about philosophy, your belief system, and travel. So you might know a little bit about a lot of things or have an eclectic mix of religious beliefs. Unshame that. You are totally allowed. And maybe you incorporate bits and pieces of other cultures into your life and you honor those practices, you honor those symbols, that sort of thing. And then just notice, has this season brought up the desire to jet to a far off land? Have you been craving foreign cuisine? Are your spiritual beliefs under review? Are they changing, or are they varied in nature? And then with Gemini ruling the 10th house, this house is all about career and achievement. You were born to write or communicate in some way. Are you in publishing? Whatever your job is, you're likely known for being a source of information or perhaps the hub in a larger network, connecting with people and connecting other people to one another. This placement also indicates a jack of all trades kind of vibe. Again, knowing a little bit about a lot of things. You might even have multiple jobs. Just watch out for an inability to stick with one career long enough to make the kind of progress you desire. Moving on to the 11th house, this house is all about your network or tribe. It's your community or your friend group. Now, if Gemini rules the 11th house for you, it's likely that your friend group, your community, your tribe is full of intellectuals, clever people that make you think and expand your mind, or at the very least, stimulate your mind. Are you in a writing club, a book club, both? Maybe your community is online and all over the world. You may be someone involved in lighthearted humanitarian endeavors or literary causes as well. Now, Gemini in the 12th house, this is the house of the unconscious, the dreaming world, and the etheric. It carries the experience from our past lives and informs us in this life, even if it's not necessarily the experience that we get to create for ourselves in this life. So some of what's in this house can be deconditioned or karma to work through. What we knew the world to be in another life is also another way of saying that. So Gemini here means that the world around you in another life that your soul has chosen for you to be connected to or tethered to in this life, it meant that the world around you was an information nexus, a hub of data, and likely a lively communicative place where you probably felt like you always had to be, quote, on. Now, you may be unaware of the areas in your life where you are potentially fickle, unfocused, choosing to always leave your options open because picking one path means that the other paths disappear. So your downfall may also be a scattered mind. Grounding, breathing, meditations, all those practices are your best friend, whatever helps you focus. Now, your dreams may be really wild, changeable, and communicating messages from your unconscious, your subconscious, your superconscious, aka your higher self. All good things. Now, if you remember that bit about Mercury being the ultimate timeline hopper, the master of creating new paradigms, well, I am here at the beginning of a new life. Late last year, I told my husband it was time to shake things up. We had a very gorgeous home in the West Kootenays. He had a stable, secure, really good paying job, and I got to be at home with my little one, baking sourdough and basically running my own show. And it was a very good life, a life that some past version of me could only dream about. Somewhere deep down though, no matter how much gratitude I leaned into, I just knew that there was something different meant for us. And I remember washing the dishes one evening and thinking about my Aries sun in the 10th house. And the 10th house, as you know, is a house of career. So this is a placement that I have seen and thought about so many times, and yet I was not immune to the cultural and the close example programming I'd been raised in. Moms are supposed to be at home with their babies, happy to sweep the floor and feed the chickens. And shouldn't I be beyond grateful, especially in a world where most moms have to work, that I got to stay at home? I wanted to want that life. I really did. But after some very real talk about mom guilt with my incredible counselor at the time, something clicked that day. A natal sun in the 10th house, which is the very top of the chart, is meant to be seen in a big, bright, and shiny as fuck way. So why was I forcing myself to go against the very fabric of my being and what my soul wanted? I was basically ripping myself up on the inside, trying to figure how to fit into someone else's way of living. So I rinsed off my hands, walked into the nursery where John and Ada were, and I slid down the wall on my butt and declared out loud, I want a career. That was the winter of 2024. In the spring of 2025, earlier this year, I very audaciously asked my husband to quit his job. We sold our house very shortly after, and privately too, because when it's aligned, the universe makes things happen and happen quickly. But while we waited for the closing date, we started downsizing our lives and hunting for the perfect home on wheels. That was our plan. We searched and searched for a fifth wheel trailer, even checking out RVs. And funny enough, in all the years and all the times I drove to John's work, not once was there a giant fucking RV in the parking lot. Except on the few days that we were contemplating buying one. The universe is funny like that. I called the number on the for sale sign. The owner was at work, so he met me within 5 minutes. He unlocked the door. I stepped inside the beautiful beast on wheels, and I got to sense what a future in that RV would feel like. I had asked for the opportunity to taste test lifestyles, so very Gemini, and the universe had been delivering. The RV ended up being a no. So we searched and searched for our home on wheels for so freaking long, and still I was not getting that ping, the feeling of ridiculous excitement in my body that lets me know it's a hell yes. And eventually both my husband and I got frustrated. So finally I said again out loud to the universe, okay, universe, direct me, show me what we're meant to do. I shit you not, the same day, a very precious human who I know through an online community reached out with a voice note asking if we'd found our home. And if not, she had a wild, harebrained idea. She hadn't thought out any of the details, but fast forward a month, and here we are. We've just spent our first 2 nights in her gorgeous fifth wheel trailer, parked in the cutest RV park on Vancouver Island, 5 minutes from the ocean. Our days here will be so spacious once we're unpacked. We get to play, explore, and be so present with Ada. And she's not even 2 years old, so we're so grateful and thrilled to get to be with her at this time together when she's so little. And I've been joking while simultaneously being so freaking serious that I've retired Johnny. He gets to be the stay-at-home daddy, and I get to be the sugar mama, steeped in my mission and sharing this work with the world. It all started, my friends, because I opened my mind. I asked, what if I let go of certainty and control and I leapt into another world. If that is not Gemini, I don't know what the hell is. All right, that is it for today's episode. I hope you very much enjoyed that and you got some nuggets that support your own evolution and your own awareness. If you loved today's episode, feel free to share it. And I'm just sending you so much love on this wild human journey that you're on. And that's it for now. Mwah.